Matthews.biz says, Paul was sanctioned by the apostles to preach to the Gentiles. Sanctioned by the apostles? I'm like, where'd you get that from? And he responded with this comment. I'll get to Acts 15 in a moment. Acts 14:14, Acts 13:2 has nothing to do, says nothing about the apostles sanctioning Paul to preach the gospel to the Gentiles. Acts chapter 9 is the conversion story of Paul. Although this very same book later on, this story is retold and is contradictory to this. That's for another video. But it has nothing to do with the apostles sanctioning Paul to preach to the Gentiles. Furthermore, most, if not all, reputable scholars say that 2 Peter was not written by Peter. It's a forgery. In Acts chapter 15, some were going around saying, well, the Gentiles had to do this to get saved, or the Gentiles had to do that to get saved. Well, Paul and Barnabas, well, of course they had a problem with that, but they needed confirmation. They needed to escalate the problem to the original disciples. Paul didn't have the authority to bring the word down, so to speak. So he went to Jerusalem, to James, which is the right thing to do. When he got to Jerusalem, Peter and James didn't let him have a word in edgewise. Rightly so. Peter and James did not say, oh, this is about salvation for the Gentiles. We have the apostle to the Gentiles right here. We have Paul right here. Let's ask him. He's an expert in the matter. He's the one that should bring down the final word. No, they did not give him any say in the matter. They treated him like a third party, rightly so. In fact, in Acts chapter 15, verse 7, Peter himself said, God chose me that by my mouth the Gentiles should hear the gospel. That is in direct contradiction to what Paul said in Galatians chapter 2, verse 7. Paul said, well, I'm the apostle to the Gentiles. Peter, well, to the Jews. Obviously, there's a problem here. Keep in mind that in Galatians chapter 2, Paul was talking about the exact same event that was recorded in Acts chapter 15, and they contradicted each other. But somebody said to me, well, Peter was called to the Jews and he knew it. Really? Where did Peter die? Where did Peter die? Rome. Thank you very much. You can twist it and turn it and try to reconcile it. You can say whatever you want, but obviously we see the truth here. Which brings me back to my first question. What proof do you have that the apostles sanctioned Paul to preach the gospel to the Gentiles?